My name is Dr. Christian Eteen. Currently live in Denver, Colorado, where I'm a professor and chair of the Department of Social Work at Metropolitan State University of Denver. It's also where I play. I ski and climb and backpack and all those wonderful things. We have some wonderful mountains here in Colorado. Though I'm actually not in Colorado right now. I'm actually recording this in Lima, Peru. But I'm hoping that you're all going to come to Denver, Colorado in 2015 for the 7th International Adventure Therapy Conference. More on that in a moment. So my current job, and as it relates to adventure therapy, right now I don't teach any courses directly around adventure therapy or even experiential practice. I've designed and implemented courses around a wide range of experiential practices: art, drama, music, dance, equine, all those sorts of pieces, and as well as adventure therapy, which for me revolves around the use of cooperative games, problem-solving initiatives, trust activities, high adventure activities, rock climbing, ropes courses, whitewater, and wilderness expeditions, canoe trips, dog sledding, backpacking, ski touring, all those sorts of things. And so I've brought all those into the academic environment. In the past, I've been a program director for Outward Bound, doing wilderness therapy courses around drug and alcohol primarily. Also worked in inpatient and outpatient mental health and substance abuse treatment, school settings, and in all of those I've used experiential and adventure work as a part of my practice. I've been active in the adventure therapy community for a long time. Past chair of the Therapeutic Adventure Professional Group of the Association for Experiential Education. I've been at almost all of the International Adventure Therapy conferences and presented. I've come down to Australia a few times and presented in Australia. I've also presented in China and in many other places as well, South Africa, around adventure therapy and really advanced facilitation in general. So I've played a role, I think, in the conversation around adventure therapy and international adventure therapy, and I've edited 2 of the proceedings of the International Adventure Therapy Conference, so I think I bring with me some understanding of the international context of adventure therapy, albeit understood from a Western U.S. perspective, because that's where I reside and live. So, what else can I say here? So what's happening in adventure therapy in the U.S. context? Obviously, the U.S. is a large country and a diverse country, and therefore there are many different things happening. I would say that there are 3 major arenas in which adventure therapy occurs. One is what we refer to as wilderness therapy, which primarily involves long-term outdoor behavioral health care. It's not the only form of wilderness therapy out there, but it's the largest. And those are long expeditions, primarily dealing with adolescents, primarily dealing with mental health related issues and substance abuse. The next realm is community-based, and these are usually a combination of outpatient mental health services in conjunction with an adventure, and it could be short-term, high-adventure activities going for rock climbing and so forth, and up to and including some wilderness expeditions. And then finally, there is sort of what I would refer to as the inpatient realm of adventure therapy, and these would be mostly hour-long, 2-hour-long programs run within an inpatient context, primarily ropes course related. And this is a diminishing piece. This was quite large in the 80s, and it has been on a decline. There are other brands and forms of adventure therapy happening. I think the large issue in the U.S. context is professionalization, and due to seeking the ability to do third-party reimbursement. And so a number of people who are licensed or looking at licensure are, let's say, or how do we create licensing opportunities that allow for billing is a major part. That being said, I would say the vast majority of wilderness-based work, adventure-based work, is done by people without a formal degree, without formal training in therapeutic side. So most coming from the adventure side. And I've talked about in other work sort of this model in which there is adventure and therapy, and looking at this triangle. And so I think that the vast majority of people are coming from the lower ends of these triangles, coming in towards a sense of training. What's unique in the U.S. context? That's a good one. I think that there are multiple frameworks that are used that guide our practice. The theoretical diversity is quite large. I think we have a lot of people who come from a traditional cognitive behavioral perspective and are looking at the behavioral changes that are often result from a wilderness or adventure experience. Increasingly, we have folks coming from more of a postmodern, narrative, solution-focused perspective. The single largest influence, I'm not sure most people know this, but because much of the work still is guided, I think, around the use of metaphor in the U.S. and the introduction of activities, would come out of a strategic school of thought, the work of Milton Erickson, though I don't think people are as conscious of that as they used to be. So those would be some unique pieces. And obviously, increasingly, in the U.S. we have this manual called the DSM, Diagnostic Statistical Manual in Psychology. A new version is coming out, probably now. And this obviously drives much of the practice because a client needs a diagnosis in order to receive third-party reimbursement, and having a diagnosis tends to lead to a way of working. So those are some unique pieces. I do know that the DSM gets ported over to other countries, though it is highly culturally bound in the U.S. context. From your perspective, what's world best practice in venture therapy? I mean, I think, and I've talked about this a lot in my work for facilitation, that best practice is really about intentionality and purposefulness, understanding what is driving your work. So I'm not a firm believer that there's a single way that you have to do adventure-based practice. I think what is singular, or what is most important, is that you have an understanding of why you're doing what you're doing, what is informing your practice, and what is motivating you to proceed in the direction you are. I talk a lot about the gift of facilitation, that in essence, clients bring to us their gift of a challenge in their life they're seeking some form of resolution of. And the interventions that we offer, the opportunity to choose a different course, is our gift. And I think that's the model that I use, and I'm not suggesting that everyone has to use that, but as a metaphor, it's useful in terms of thinking about, I have to be aware of what is the gift I'm giving, and to be as purposeful and intentional as I possibly can in that process. And to me, that's what best practice looks like. My hope for International Adventure Therapy, well, one is that I hope you all come to Denver, because I think that we need a resounding and large contingent of folks from around the world to come together to have a much more intense and purposeful dialogue. I've certainly enjoyed the conversations and dialogues that I've had with the folks from Australia, and I think that your representation has been really strong over the years, and I would encourage that to continue. I think that with that, we begin to perhaps get greater clarity on some of what are the unifying parts of our work. So while I love diversity, it also makes it really difficult to have a conversation outside of the context of those who are already in the know, um, with those who may be more skeptical. And in the U.S. context, that becomes extremely important because funders are probably not in the know. But I suspect in Australia, from my conversations, and in New Zealand and in China, that that is also true around the world, that there are people who are going to be less skeptical, or more skeptical, excuse me, about the nature of the work we're doing, and that how is this not just going camping? How is this not just having fun? And those things are important, but for me, adventure therapy implies an intentional and purposeful change process. So it is something different. It is something much more intense. As far as what I hope for the Australian Bush Adventure Therapy Forum and for you folks is that you have a great time spending time with each other and doing those fun things that bring you joy, bring laughter, bring relationship. I certainly hope all those things happen. I hope that you continue to look at how those pieces that are unique in terms of this idea of bush and what is bush and wilderness therapy the same thing, or is it different? I think the defining pieces in terms of what unifies us, but also what makes us distinct, are important. So I hope that some of that conversation happens. I also hope that the Bush Adventure Therapy Forum, continues to provide leadership within the international adventure therapy community, and continues to stake out defining the theory, the knowledge base, the practice, and what is best practice. TAPG within the Association for Experiential Education has worked on a best practices document. It'd be really interesting to see how Bush Adventure Therapy comments, critiques, or understands that best practices document. And I would encourage that kind of conversation. So hopefully this has been helpful, and I look forward to my next time that I'm down under or get a chance to see you in Denver. Peace.